got the red button of liveness. All right, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to the Data Center News Show. I am your host, Amy Palvido. I am the CEO of Facilimax on occasion, and I wear multiple hats, but every good founder does. So I have my guest today. We are going to be talking about the difference between AI training and AI inference and what that does to the data center industry and everything that's around that. So I will let my guests introduce themselves, and we'll start with Pranay.
Okay, hi. So first, Amy, thank you for inviting. Awesome to be here, right? And nice to meet Aditya and Andrew. Um, my name is Pranay. I am the founder and CEO of a company called Cubrid AI. And really what we are doing is it's a full stack AI platform with a lot of focus on inferencing because, people are moving towards inferencing. And the stack goes all the way from GPU management up towards agent building. So that's what we have done, and we're growing. It's really a startup that's moving every second. So thank you. All right.
And welcome to the show. All right. I asked you, then I didn't get the answer. Is it Aditya? Did I say that right? Aditya?
Yeah, Aditya.
Oh, I got close. All right, you can just try and pronounce my last name. No one gets it right either. So we're equally offended by name pronunciation.
Yeah. So hi guys. Thanks a lot, Amy, for giving this great opportunity. I'm Aditya Mehra, and it's been around 18 years with in IT industry. I wore several hats and still working on several new things. From virtualization to blockchain to artificial intelligence and developing new things and with the architecturing new things. Yeah, and currently being a senior member of IEEE. And yeah, I'm working on writing policies on how the AI or these policies should be there in the system, specifically in the USA, and what would be the guardrails and other how it could be in a good way we can use AI. And so
Awesome.
yeah, yep.
Great.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. Yes, thanks for being here. And Andy.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Andy Erta with LS Electric. We're a Korean company, but we've been in America since 2012, and we make everything from where the power lines stop, from high voltage transformers all the way down to low voltage gear and panels. And we also do HVAC controls with VFDs and other automation products. But we're a proud sponsor of this Data Center News Show, and also Aditya, we will be at the IEEE show in Chicago this year.
Mhm.
So will you be in attendance?
No, I would be missing.
Oh, that's too bad. I would have liked to meet you in person. So thanks. Pranay, nice to meet you. I'm both of you guys. I'm real excited about on this show because you're very. I can tell you're very smart, and I'm not as. So I'm looking to learn from you guys. Thank you.
Well, I think you are underestimating yourself. But
Yes.
by the way, Andy,
I don't know. I would just say my wife and kids would probably would probably not agree with that.
So I was going to say I spent quite some time in the connected buildings space. So with what you're doing, I would love to understand maybe in a separate call, and that's one of the areas very close to my heart and how we can apply AI, to the smart buildings and HVAC side. So it would be really good to talk about it either today or some other time.
Yes.
So real quick, are you planning on being at Data Center World in April in DC?
I just
No,
asked him.
I'm right here in DC area, but
I know.
yeah, maybe I'll look into that and try
You
to.
should.
If you send me a note, I think we have a discount code that will help. If not, maybe we can get together for a cup of coffee or breakfast one day, because we're going to be right downtown, right next to the convention center, the Embassy Suites is where
Okay.
a
Yes.
chunk of our people will be.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. Looking-
Awesome sauce. All right, let's talk about what we're going to talk about. So there's this big shift from AI training to AI inference, and I remember I didn't even know what inference was until obviously Jensen Huang. Nothing happens unless Jensen Huang says it. By the way, just saying.
Yeah.
So last year's GTC, he kept talking about AI inference, and I was like, what the hell does that mean? And I'm in like the industry, and I'm like, huh? And so, and it's really it's become like full bore what most of the data centers are looking at. There's a stat out there that basically 2/3 of the AI compute is now going to be inference in 2026 versus what it was in 2023. So kind of, this is an opening question for everybody, but when inference becomes the dominant AI workload, what are we feeling like are the decisions that enterprises are making or data center developers are making? Does it change the landscape at all and what they're building or not? So I'm just going to throw that out for the crowd. Who wants to jump on that one first?
I can go first. That's fine.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think it's definitely going to change how people build things, right? So, if you think about what's going on, it's a shift, but it's a very important shift because the applications that enterprises use, those are changing. That's the big change, right?
Yep.
Everything is underneath that. So today's software as a service applications now start to become agents.
Right.
And every employee, everybody like us will have, a few of them, 15, 20,
Got it.
right? Depending on the type of work you're doing and how much of that work you do on a daily basis, right? And that requires, so what that means is these agents are going to do a lot of queries, right? A lot of inferencing. These requests go back and forth, back in milliseconds. Unlike training, which runs for, you're training these large models for months and months on large chunks of data. Here you're inferencing like, every single day, every single minute, second, and depending on that function and different models, right? So this requires in the back end, what's going on is the infrastructure is changing. To think of it in the data center world, we use scale up and scale out. So it's almost like moving from scale up towards scale out of large, maybe less number of sockets per system, but you get a lot of scale out architecture. So the power to the rack, in my view, is going to change, but there will be a lot more racks. And so, so data center builders will have to definitely, think accordingly, try to be as modular as possible. And also, I also think it will be a lot more distributed because latency is very important for inferencing. One of the design changes, or at least the thinking, I feel that enterprises will be forced to do, or data center builders will be forced to do, is where are your data centers? Is it closer to where you're inferencing or not? Or should we always make that gigawatt data center, or you're going to make, a few hundred megawatts or 50 megawatts, a few of those geographically distributed in a lot of cities and different areas of the city? I mean, a lot of thinking is going in that direction.
Yeah.
I think that certainly some change will happen.
So I always had this thought that, like an enterprise, say whoever, State Farm, whoever it is, if they were going to be doing inferencing, why wouldn't they just stick it like AI in a box out in their parking lot and inference there, right? Does that suffice, or are they doing enough application to where a megawatt of AI inferencing is not enough? What do you think?
For me, is it for me?
Yeah,
Okay.
for you.
I think that's not in, because that's one compute is, just one portion of this thing, right? If you for true inferencing, you need a few things. And I feel enterprises need to really think about it from reliability, right? for
Mm-hmm.
availability, scalability, security. So the parking lot system may not work in some cases, unless you are thinking about all these things and you have a way to scale. So if you
Interesting.
run out of capacity there, and are you able to auto scale to other such pods, if you will, in in your own facilities or elsewhere? So
Interesting.
yeah, because to me, inference is not just a new thing. It's a whole new infrastructure.
Yep.
Jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep.
Anyway, jump in.
So I believe that regarding this question, like inference is overtaking like training as a dominant AI workload. Yeah, I'm feeling it directly. Like for like in terms of like policies. Yeah, like if I see at IEEE, the most active new working groups working on these things. We have a P3394. I'll be sharing the link, which is for LLM agent interface. And there is another one, 3142 for distributed inference or inference first. However, 2 years ago, everything was about learning training. So I can see that that shift in standard work tells you where the engineering community sees the center of gravity is moving.
Mm-hmm.
Along with one more thing, I would just say is that the economics also made it inevitable. Inference costs dropped in in a year or two from $20 per million tokens to under a dime, I can say.
Mm-hmm.
And when something gets cheaper and cheaper, it gets embedded everywhere. API, every API calls, co-pilots, agentic workflow, etc. So it is
Interesting.
everywhere. And so I would say that the shift has already happened.
Mm-hmm.
Now the question is that whether our infrastructure standards are caught up or not. I would argue that they are still coping up. And yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So the ability to do distributed compute basically is
Mhm.
what I'm hearing is what we're going to need to be able to do.
Correct.
Does that distributed compute, is it like, I'm thinking like, think convenience stores. Is it going to be like, like there was that Google thing where they're going to stick a box in the sidewalk, and is it going to be like that where you have like the 7-Eleven of data center networks? Is that what
Mm.
we're looking at? And if that's so, Andy, what does that change from a electrical infrastructure if we're going to be going to all this distributed compute, right? Small distributed compute
Correct.
versus large.
I
Let's go stick 2 gigawatts out in the middle of Timbuktu.
Exactly.
well,
Yep.
I think you're probably going to see at both ends, Amy, because if you
Yeah.
look what NVIDIA is working on with their DC platform, that's actually condensing power and giving more power in a smaller space. And that's going to change the physical infrastructure from AC to DC power. And that has a whole cascaded effect on how you're going to be building that infrastructure for that data center versus today's data centers. So there's a lot of exciting technology coming along. We're working on medium voltage solid state transformers, which is in theory has been around for many years, but now practically it's coming along. And we actually have we have our second beta site in Korea at one of our own factories here shortly. So it's it's going to be a DCE house functionality.
Cool.
It's going to be
Wow.
pulling DC power from a solar array going into a BESS, of course, for backup, but it's actually going to power a part of the factory that manufactures VFDs used in HVAC for now. So it's kind of a cool thing. But I think when you look at distributed data, you look at distributed power, microgrids, I think will probably be the tool that allows you to have distributed power out in the field. In some ways, and you're going to also, if you look at what the projections are for battery energy storage systems, that's going through the roof over the next 10 years. It's got an unbelievable growth curve. So if you're going to have small distributed data centers out in the wild, then you're going to have some sort of power to back them up,
Yep.
other than principally the main grid, because as we know, the main grid is got a long curve to get caught up, right?
It does. It does.
So
I was talking with a couple of hyperscale people-ish. I can't say who. But they have just now gotten over the heartburn, whatever it is, hurdle, whatever you want to call it, about behind the meter power generation. Like that, and being standalone or islanded. Like they're finally, I guess, partly because of what Trump was getting them to say or build. But the microgrid solution, I assume it becomes, especially if you're going to do inferencing or AI or training AI. I know that Solar Caterpillar did the XAI training, and they've been running for about a year, where they were islanded for a year and running AI. And I'm going to get that guy to come on the show. Just the lessons learned in that, and what they had to learn on how to build it to be an islanded solution and running AI and delivering its own power. I think that would be super powerful to learn. But I think as we change DC, high voltage DC or DC straight to the rack, that's going to change the game too, right? It's interesting. It's totally interesting.
I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, these things will coexist, right? Large clusters will be there. It's just large data centers will, people will still need to build all these things, and then, but in a distributed architecture, right?
Right.
Yeah.
More fault tolerant, yeah. High
Yeah.
availability, fault tolerance we need to, yeah. Reliability, as you mentioned.
Yeah. And Aditya, how you said about APIs, that's one thing at Qubrid we are very much focused on. And our user count is growing by the thousands of people trying to use open source models. That's another big shift that's happening, right? From very proprietary models that enterprises, have started. A lot of people trust those models because, hey, it's Bob. Everybody knows that name. And then there's a DeepSeek moment, or there is. And then now, if you look, open source models, the gap is closing significantly with proprietary models.
Exactly.
And so all these developers, they want to try things out with these APIs, right? And we are providing this API, one API, test out anything. Now, these models, each one of these models have different inferencing requirements. They can run on different types of GPU infrastructure. So that will also determine, one agent is not tied to one model. Most of them will be tied to multiple models, right? You can't write a blog with just text. You have to have image. You have to have, something else, some other research done. So I feel in this multi-model API-driven world, you'll have, enterprises will have to consider a very, very different infrastructure approach.
Exactly. True.
Interesting. So you mentioned DeepSeek. So that came out, and then everybody got super scared. NVIDIA's stock dropped, like, I don't know, it was crazy town, like 20% or something. And everybody got like, oh, well, they're not going to need GPU chips because they built this model. But what did DeepSeek really do? Like, did it create the inferencing? Did it create the inferencing model, or what did it really do?
It is a model. What was interesting is how did it get developed? And when these chips were not getting shipped to China, how did they come up with such an amazing model that you can now start comparing with, proprietary models?
Right.
But the GPU, the requirement for the infrastructure doesn't go away, right? I mean, you still need to run this. You can only run smaller models on your laptops if people are doing small, some little development work. But when you talk about enterprise, you have to run on, some infrastructure that is very high performance, very low latency, because you cannot have inferencing. Like you cannot ask a question and wait for 5 minutes, right? It's not going to work in your day. So you have to be really getting very quick responses And so
Yeah.
these models, right? The amazing part is software. It's nothing but software and data, right? So if the software gets over time, you will see the same capabilities of today's models in smaller models. And those smaller models will do one thing and will do it very, very well, right?
Yeah.
And so and then there will be a lot of these smaller models. That's another thing going on. So you got big models that requires clusters and scale
Mm-hmm.
of a different type, right? And then you have a lot of small models running, which will require inferencing infrastructure of a different type. So
I will tell you that originally when like ChatGPT came out, they're going to say, "Oh, it's going to replace Google search," right? And initially I was using it or whatever, but I now hate Google search and I hate Siri. Oh my God, they will not answer my question. Like I just want you to answer my question. Like and so it's amazing how quickly the bar has shifted.
Bar has
So I'm
set.
like, yeah, exactly. I go, yeah, I don't have Apple Intelligence. So my poor little iPhone 14 just does not work for me. And I said Siri and she came on my phone. But I just like, but yeah, it's amazing how much that shift happened, right? And then so if you're using an LLM to do like even answer your questions on the fly or on your phone, that's all inferencing, right? That's not a training model. That's all inferencing.
it's
So
already been trained and it continues to be trained. So what
yeah.
happens, which you bring up an interesting point, and maybe Aditya and Andy can chime in from what they're and Amy is uh, when you are training, when you are talking this way, you whatever model you use of your and you're right, it will change over time, right? People start liking something else. But when you're talking to these models in the cloud environment, a lot of these proprietary ones get trained on your
Mm.
data, right? So that's
Correct.
how they become smart. It's like teaching a kid. Over time, like, okay, I'm answering all these questions that I was hearing from in my surroundings. Um, Same thing is happening. So these things are getting smarter and smarter over time, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what, if you think about the infrastructure side of it, right? How do continue to plan for these type of different models and so on?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So let's talk yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So there is another thing to tell here, to keep data with yourself. Like now, the enterprise needs to create their own infrastructure on premises.
Right.
That's also driving this,
yes,
this race.
and you
That's
Yeah.
just
what I want
wonderful.
to tell you.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Ed, go ahead.
Yeah. No, but that's what I was going to talk about. Like that was like the segue was like, so the regulated industries, healthcare, government, finance, they're moving to on-prem. So
Mm.
what does that do? How does that change the landscape from how we build it to how we service it? What do we and obviously we're still going to have, I'm a firm believer that we need as much capacity as we can get, however we can get it, whether it's sitting on your phone or sitting on a robot or sitting in a box in your parking lot or in a big, huge training center somewhere out in North Dakota. Like, I think we need it all, but I think if the majority of it is distributed, it would be interesting to see because we have a crisis in our electrical infrastructure at
Mm.
the moment. But maybe the smaller sites, if we can build that capacity via smaller sites, that might be a little easier to swallow. I don't know. I'm throwing that one out there. Andy, you want to jump on that one?
Yeah, I did a couple things. I wanted to go back to Pranay talking about using really having an agent or an agentic program that is going to be very good at what it does, and it's a smaller model. It's the open source. So many people don't realize. I'm going to use a corollary. Everybody knows Amazon.com, but when Amazon got started, they actually strung together 13 different types of software programs, and they integrated them to get Amazon to work. Now that was back in the dark ages, right? So my thought, Pranay, is that yes, we're going to have these little specialties, but then somebody's going to figure out a way to, just like your iPhone has different things added to it, and just like how you see different software companies like Salesforce and HubSpot, they start with one thing and then they keep adding on to it. So I think you'll see some super agents that will have multiple threads built into them and be able to do multiple things as a solution instead of having to add all that stuff onto yourself as the Amazon approach when you first get started. So I think that's a natural trend. And then also about having Siri and Learn and also Alexa, that's great for as long as you're not giving out any really personal information that you don't want to share with the world or any company information. But the key thing is if you're going to use Claude or ChatGPT or whatever, you need to make sure that you have a paid version that's behind the public domain, so your information stays yours. So that's one of the key principles of us being able to use that product. And so that's kind of a common sense thing, but some people don't think about it. They get started, they get excited, especially a small business. One of the gentlemen I work with is a very interesting entrepreneur. He has 3 different companies. Now they're all involved in hardware, either retrofits and retrofills. If anybody knows what that is, that's for breakers, ACBs and VCBs, vacuum, medium voltage, low voltage. But he has actually spent out about $28,000 on a computer, and he's gonna run OpenClaw on that.
Okay.
For his own company. So
Interesting.
it would be interesting to see how that goes. Maybe once he gets up and running, Amy, maybe he'd be a good person to
Yes.
have on the show.
Yeah. I love case studies. Those are awesome. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean,
But
I will say that Claude, by the way, sorry for jumping in, but Claude the other day when I was solving a problem or whatever, and it's like, and then I come back and I go, I fixed it, and he goes, oh, well, can you tell me what you did so I can share it with other people?
And you said no. I hope.
No.
Andy, you touched on something really important. So one of the things, and actually you pretty much spoke one of the value props of Qubrid. When you mentioned about all these models, and one of the enterprise problems, how do you use these models, right? And what we do is this orchestration layer. And this orchestration is so critical. And one day, OpenClaw could sit underneath that too, or anybody else. But you've got to assign these tasks to different models, and that's not an easy thing. And enterprises should not spend multiple years building this thing out, in my view. And they should look to companies like us and others, right, who are doing. That's the whole point of simplifying. It's because it's very complex. You have to optimize these models, make sure it's your requests are being routed correctly, the output is correctly, it's integrated with, in your friend's example, some systems, it could be an accounting system or some other system, or HVAC system, whatever. It's a complex task, and that's where we are going, is overall agentic stuff.
So Pranay, what about the guardrails?
Yeah. So you mentioned, I mean, the sovereign piece is we are hearing a lot more people. In fact, our software, we also offer as an on-prem software. That's the whole reason. In Qubrid name, the bridge is for hybrid. Okay. So, and so hybrid is what I feel will be the infrastructure. And a lot of people, Aditya, you asked, is they are asking for sovereign private cloud environments. But the same thing applies there, right? You still need those models, open source models. You still need auto-scaling capabilities and clustering capabilities.
Yes.
But all you're disconnected from the outside world, and that infra is for your own, working on your data, right? So, and a lot of companies are actually, with AI, remember the early cloud days, this was a big concern.
Yep.
Yeah.
But enterprises over time, they all started trusting the cloud, and whether or not all your data is there, but you still have a lot of data in the cloud. A lot of enterprises. With AI, everybody is, worried a lot, and rightly so, because now you are giving the intelligence in the HVAC world. One of the things we used to say in my previous role at Honeywell is the holy grail is when the analytics on buildings data helps you do some action, right?
Hmm.
So
Right.
if you want to do some automation based on analytics, the analytics has to be good. In the
Yeah.
case of AI, you let all this data in the public, and that's where people are worried. If AI will give, it goes much beyond analytics, and it starts to give you the insights that you would have never thought. And not
Hmm.
only that, now it just recommends do
Mm.
this, do that. So you're almost going to give intelligence to people that you do not want anywhere near your data.
Yep.
So so I think
Yeah.
that's, yeah, that's one of the things that is concerning. So yeah, private cloud is going to grow a lot in my view. So to Amy, your rack pods, yeah, I mean these are the ideal thing. What enterprises want is quick provisioning, right? Quick configuration. So you plug a rack, network it, all that. Cooling. So liquid cooling's getting
Yeah.
important there. But how do you do liquid? So is it in a co-location space, or enterprises have their own data centers? A lot of them had it before, right?
Mm.
Those are very big questions. Where do you keep, physical safety, all of those things?
Right. Right. So is it cloud, on-prem, or edge? And cloud and edge, like edge used to be like this small little tiny 3 megawatt whatever. Edge now is like 200 megawatts. Like I don't remember where edge went to, but it quickly jumped. So is it cloud and edge? Maybe that makes, or they just do it on premises. So where do you think it sits? Where does the inferencing kind of layer sit over the next couple of years? Or is it just going to be wherever they can get it? Go
Yeah.
or whoever.
Uh, my view, and I let Aditya and Andy speak on this. My view is edge is what you define it to be, right? So, so if you think about autonomous cars, that's an edge. So you're inferencing there too, because
Mm.
without inferencing, you cannot decide what action to do in the car,
True.
right? So edge is in all the smart buildings, even at the VAV level. You have edge. We call it edge analytics now. It's edge AI. Can this device control a device act on its own based on AI?
Right.
But so you're right. Edge is mostly typically used with embedded devices, but some people, have started even saying, okay, these servers in the data center is also edge, which is not inaccurate. It's
Mm.
That's where your edge stops. So that is the edge, right? But a lot of people think of what are the, your client, your laptop can be an edge, right?
Right.
So what devices are connecting to that data center? Um, but this is where the distributed thing is very important to consider security at each level,
Mm.
because I look at edge from a data stand. Where is the data being generated? And if that data is important to you, that is the edge for you.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Uh,
So it's
so I just wanted,
okay.
so my opinion of edge is a lot more focused, based upon automation in commercial buildings. It's basically the data being pulled from a physical device in the field. Okay, and
Yep.
then it's in the old days it would go to the cloud, and the cloud would have the intelligence and the algorithms to make sense of that data, and then send some information to a supervisor control to make a
correct.
decision on something. So not sure if I agree that edge is in the data center in the racks unless it's using the local data points in that rack and area to regulate things like cooling and efficiencies and things like that. Then yes, I could probably bite on that, but I prefer the more traditional what I described. So Aditya, excuse me, Aditya, yeah,
Aditya.
Mr. Melra. Yeah,
Aditya.
sorry, Aditya. Could you,
I gotta
what is
find
your,
my.
where is it, what do you think edge is? And I'm sorry.
So yeah, so basically, like yeah, I would agree Pranay's point. Like he explained really well that where the data is being generated. It could be your IoT devices like or your laptop, like So I would say, like, in my opinion, it could be a hybrid approach. Like, if I would like to see where inferencing, like, these edge devices could be a cache. And in that scenario, we'll be having like purely distributed systems. Like, if I think hypothetically, or like in future, like this would be the case, like the huge inference, the big inferencing like engines would be sitting in the nearest data centers, and our on the need basis we'll be pulling up like a CDN, content delivery network, and that's my thought process. Like, maybe I'm wrong, but it
Oh,
should be like this. Yeah.
I think you're spot on. And I did have a question for you on inferencing from a standard standpoint, right? What is there, what are the developments going on in?
Yeah, so basically, we have couple of standards. Like, I'll be like, let me share the group, the things here. I'll
Yeah,
be
go
sharing
for
with
it.
you. Yeah, so we have couple of working groups, Pranay. Like, we have P3394. This is for LLM agent interfaces, how they should be interfacing, what should be the guardrails, etc. And for the there is another working group, that is 3142. That is for distributed inferences. So let me share the link. Here it
So,
would be, yeah. Let me fetch P3394.
and I just have a funny remark. Only electrical engineers would name groups of numbers. I'm just saying out loud.
So,
Just
for
saying.
example,
Maybe
3394 is a standard for large language model agent interface. So that facilitates communication between LLMs, LLM applications, agents, and human users. So I have put over in your chat.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Good, thank you. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
let me put
Yeah.
3142 also. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
Awesome.
this is a tough thing to do, right? To create this
yeah,
when
exactly.
um,
Yeah.
hmm.
So yeah, so you will get an idea like how it what are the proposals, how and it is like so IEEE plays a major role, like creating these proposals to to have guidelines for industry and for the governments also, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, specifically USA government. So that's the idea, like there should be all the stakeholders should be like resonating the idea, like okay, this should be the framework and we should follow, at least try to adhere with those guidelines. So that's
Very good.
IEEE does. Yeah,
I'll definitely uh, go through that. So
sure.
I
Yeah.
always think, how do you control this thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
okay, that's great to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question, when we talk about inferencing, and y'all define edge very differently than the data center industry does, obviously. Like, everybody's got a different definition of edge, but this wasn't in. I'm just gonna throw y'all for a loop here, but you got to be on your toes when you come on the show. So the government, there's been a lot of talk about using AI for war. Let's just be real. And Pete Hegseth, and they got all ticked off at Anthropic for not letting them open in the guardrails, and they had all this different things about that and what that looks like. But there is, I think, this real race of using AI in warfare, and that would distribute out to edge devices. Can you imagine, like, soldiers wearing certain things, and all the equipment and all the facilities, and all the different things that they're doing on the battlefield? What does that do when you're in an area? Like, how are they maintaining that? Like, say if they're overseas and not in the United States, how are they going to look to do AI inferencing? Is it all be satellites? Is Elon Musk going to rule the world? That's my question.
Hmm. Well, it's a difficult problem, to be honest.
Yeah.
So the internet connectivity, yes, that could be satellite, right? But in the traditional world, if you ask any of the server hardware OEMs, or we have things like fully ruggedized racks of systems that are deployed on the field. That's what
Mhm.
you connect to. So that there's a high chance that, okay, you'll see more of these ruggedized inferencing things in future that
Mm.
are deployed, because you have to connect to that, right? Um, now, how good that would be, how much time you have in a real battle scenario, you have time to inference or use your own brain, right? I mean, those are things. Um, but to a certain degree, the augmented intelligence, I think that will help, and it's unavoidable. It will happen at some point.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, a very good question. Actually, I haven't thought about it much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, go ahead, Andy.
so Pranay, so in a battlefield situation, the the alert time for an incoming drone or missile or whatever, if it can alert the uh, the soldiers quicker, then they have a better opportunity to react. And in some cases, just like automatic braking on cars, if it can launch a countermeasure without the soldier even have to think about it, and it takes out the drone, that's a good thing. So I think that there's a merit for both of those. Not to say that that's going to preclude the soldier from having to make decisions on their own based upon other things. But I think you might see. I'm going to go out a little in the science fiction world here a little bit, but in the future, I predict you're going to actually see mobile data centers that actually will be robotic. So
Mm.
they'll be moving with the troops out in the field, and they'll be hardened, as you mentioned.
Interesting.
So yeah, and and then also, will there need to be internet Wi-Fi? We'll see. Is there something beyond that? There's,
Yeah,
would there be some
There's
other
talk.
type of will there be some other type of method to transmit data faster, and we won't need
yeah,
Starlink or other things like that?
yeah.
Hmm.
Short,
It'll be
Who
an
knows?
the
interesting
Yeah.
short
world.
Yeah.
short range communication of some other type, right? So
Right. Yeah. Because they, as long as it follows them around, right? That's all they need. They don't need necessarily have to have long distance communication. I'm sure somebody over there is thinking about it. Some smart engineer is working on it. I'm sure.
yeah,
I should come on the show because, everybody watches the show. So I'm just saying out loud. So y'all should just come on the show and we chat about it. No, I'm sure it's top secret.
Yeah,
Probably
just
shouldn't
just
chat about it.
invite some defense contractors on. I'm sure they'd love to.
Oh, yes. Let's talk about it. All right. So where do we like I like to do this every once in a while. We're almost at the end of the hour. See, I told you it was gonna go fast, guys. Um, crystal ball. Let's pull out a crystal balls. I like to do this every once in a while. Um, do we have do like does every building have innately as part of that building some AI capability sitting in it? Like, does every building have it in the world? Do we not from a from the ability for it to talk to one another, but even if it's like they've got a data center sitting in their server room somewhere, they got a server room sitting somewhere in a building somewhere. Do we think that that's where it goes? Everywhere there's a data center.
who's good?
Good. You're shaking your head.
Yeah, yeah, maybe yeah, smart homes would be, yeah, possibly it's a possibility with the with the, but all it boils down to the cost, and uh, the inference engines, GPUs, the infrastructure. If it is low cost or something like in a cloud, or so basically if it is in a we the consumer is getting in a cheaper way, I believe that it could be a reality where like we had like in like a few years back we had like smart homes everywhere, like where they can take decision based on like based on like a temperature, it starts, air conditioning or like open windows, etc. So yeah, I believe that soon it will be possibility. How it is going, like our models are getting faster with lower cost, and chain of thoughts, they can think smartly, like DeepSeek have a chain of thoughts, and it's upcoming models are also like following the same thing, like I believe, yeah, we have a possibility, and in nearby future we'll be having more smart homes, and the devices.
Every building will have a
Yeah,
brain.
yeah,
So it's a price thing, right? As soon as the price gets to it, then it can be just widely distributed. But when do
yep.
we think the price comes down? When do we think it like gets to where that's attainable for any building everywhere can have a brain? What do we think? When does that happen?
Look, I'll give you my experience in commercial buildings. Commercial buildings before this did all this AI boom was consuming, if I am right, almost 40% of world's energy.
Mhm.
Yep.
So if the price will be justified if you can start showing those energy savings, you know, it's amazing how much some of these facilities consume, right? And so that's the value that you can bring by using AI. If it can predict some failures, it can predict where people are moving within buildings, based on that, or where they're going to do, what's going on in your work environment, how is that changing the facilities and occupation of that facilities. Yes, you can start seeing those. If you can start seeing significant savings in energy, this will be a very good expense.
Yep.
Right? If you ask most of the large enterprises, if you go to Ford, ask the chief energy officer, he'll say, "Yeah, I can save, so many millions a year on my energy. I'm ready for it."
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Andy, you might have some really good thoughts on this. Yes.
I agree with everything. Just on the having a data center in every building. Maybe yes, maybe no, because all you may need is a edge device like this that might be able
Do
to
it
do
all.
that,
Yeah.
to help you get the information and control the apps, and get things done. So I think it's going to be a hybrid approach, but I do think that Pranay, the golden word here today is energy is in demand, power generation's in demand. And I just want to just mention I'm going to be at DCD New York in 2 weeks, and I looked through the couple of day schedule, and I couldn't believe how many sessions Amy and everybody are
Power.
behind the meter. They're all about
Mhm.
generating their own power and
Yep.
using that for the data centers. So that's out in the wild and growing fast. So I think that's going to be an interesting trend to follow
Yep.
going forward.
Is
But
that
Yeah.
it's summary. I think as we get more distributed computing and distributed AI and inferencing, we need distributed power, which I believe microgrids and battery energy storage systems have a very, very strong uh, glide path upwards going forward.
by the way, I might see you there if you're going to the same show. So is that
Yeah,
the
we have
accelerated
a
thing?
booth.
Oh, okay. I'll see you there. Okay. So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Please let me know when you want to come by, and I'll schedule some time to make sure I'm there, because I'm going to try to attend some of the sessions. I learned a lot today from this. I also want to keep learning. I
Me
feel like
too.
you're never too old to learn, right?
Me too. You're absolutely right. So,
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I didn't really think about the edge device thing, but if we could use data from people's cell phones as occupancy sensors, right?
Yep.
Or like you could do really cool things with edge devices that we're not even thinking about, that would provide data. But I think eventually what we're going to end up with is a lot of smart buildings and really dumb cities. And so we need to figure out how we bridge the gap between these smart buildings and dumb cities so that we can get the cities on board with all these smart buildings, right?
Yep.
That's That's just a train of thought.
I would just add, it's not just cities, even though I live in a dumb city. I agree. A very dumb one in some ways, very nice in others. You're also going to have towns and villages and rural people that also are going to all benefit from this technology. It's not just cities, but I mean, the key will be if you can be able to live comfortably in a comfortable environment, and you save money by being more efficient. I think that's a win-win, for a lot of folks, right?
Yeah,
True.
yeah, no, for sure.
Clean
Look
air,
at
clean
that.
water.
Yeah, it's going to
Yep.
be all good things, and the data center gets a bad rap, but it's doing really cool things for the communities. No
Yeah.
one believes me, especially on Facebook. They all think I'm crazy, but that's all right. I don't care. I'll keep leading the charge. Very sure. Well, this has been a fun show. All right, Pranay, you get to go first. If somebody would like to get a hold of you, sir, how could they do that?
Okay, very easy, right? So my first name dot last name @qubrid.com.
Awesome.
That's the easiest way to get hold of, or just find me on LinkedIn.
Very cool. That's how I found you. All right, Ditya.
Yeah. So I'm putting my LinkedIn profile here, so that
Awesome. I will take it.
yeah. Let me put it here.
I'm gonna do this.
Yep.
Very cool. That's great. Awesome. And so LinkedIn is your best way to get a hold of you. Great.
Yep. Yep.
All right. And Andy.
LinkedIn is the best way for me, but I'm too lazy to type it in right now. So, but anyway, there's not too many Andy Erdas out there, so I should
There's
be
not.
pretty easy to find on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm
And
based out of Chicago.
Chicago. Yes, I know. We still like you though,
Small
Andy.
city.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Amy,
And
I've been
I
to
knew.
Texas many times. I've
I
been to
know.
Texas. I like Texans. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Especially Texas barbecue is always good.
Exactly. It's the best. I don't care about you Kansas City people. Y'all are nuts. Texas is the best barbecue, like hands down, no matter where it is in Texas. But my favorite is Cooper's or Terry Black's. Okay, y'all, this has been fun. Thank you so much for coming to the Data Center News Show. I'm Amy Palvido, your host. Say that 10 times fast. And then next week, we're going to be talking about workforce development strategies. In the data center industry, we've got some new stuff coming up. So I thank you guys for coming, and we will see you next week. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Nice meeting you, gentlemen.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
Look forward to
Take care.
seeing